You'd think that when the land hardens, when it cracks under a relentless sun, that the people living on it would harden too. It just makes sense, right? But what if the opposite happens? Today, we're diving into this incredible story of resilience, where a dying land actually gave birth to well, a softer spirit. So let's set the scene. We're in Chihuahua, Mexico, with a community of Mennonite settlers. Now, they came to this pretty remote land for a specific reason: to preserve their way of life, to stay separate from the modern world. And our story really kicks off with this single devastating image. It just paints this picture of a world where life itself is withering away before it even has a chance to begin. First, we've got to understand the sheer, relentless pressure these families were up against. This drought wasn't just a bad season. No, this was a threat to their entire existence in this very dry, very thirsty land.
Can you just imagine the anxiety of that? The most basic element of life, water, was just vanishing. Every single trip to the well was probably filled with this sense of dread. And a trickle of water, well, that affects everything, from the crops in the field to the food in the kitchen.
And this drought, it got personal. It was invasive. The dust wasn't just on the ground, it was everywhere. It clung to their skin, their clothes, and, this is the part that gets me, even their sacred hymn books. It's a powerful little detail that shows that no part of their life, not even their spiritual life, was safe.
And right here, this is where we feel the emotional weight of it all. This isn't just about farming or economics anymore. It's about hope starting to erode. And it's coming from the kids, the ones who remember an easier life, a different life, and they just want to go back. But, the cracks in the earth were soon mirrored by cracks in the community itself. The physical drought started to create a kind of spiritual and social drought, and it was testing their unity from the inside out. So this is where a deep division starts to form. On one side, you had the traditionalists, who were desperately clinging to the very principle of separation that defined their whole identity. But on the other side, you had the pragmatists, who were basically arguing, look, survival has to come first. All of a sudden, something as simple as a bag of flour became this profound test of who they were.
And this conflict, it didn't play out in big, shouting matches. Nope, it was much quieter, much more insidious. It was in the whispers, in church of all places. Tiny observations, a red ribbon in a girl's hair, a boy speaking Spanish. They became evidence in this silent, ongoing trial of who was faithful and who wasn't.
So, seeing these cracks forming, the community's leadership tries to step in, to pull everyone back to their core mission. Bishop Dyke's words here are just so powerful. He's reminding them of their purpose. They were meant to be distinct, a light, not just a reflection of the world around them. He's trying to mend the cracks by reminding them what their foundation is built on. But this kind of pressure, it doesn't just stay at the community level, right? It trickles down. It creates these intense, personal moments of doubt and questioning. And these moments, well, they turned out to be the real turning point of the whole story. Right here, in Anna Friesen's quiet, desperate whisper, we hear the unspoken despair of the entire community. It's the ultimate question of faith, isn't it? Is all this suffering part of some divine plan, or have we just been abandoned?
And Jacob's response, wow. This is the pivot on which the entire story turns. He completely reframes their whole struggle. He's saying, hey, maybe this isn't about our ability to farm or to endure hardship with our bodies. He suggests the true test is internal. It's a test of their character, their compassion, a test of their hearts.
And with that profound shift in perspective, from a test of hands to a test of hearts, the community's whole focus began to change. They started looking not down at the dry ground, but at each other. You can feel this shift taking place even in their worship. During a rare night service, they turned to this psalm. They basically transformed their physical thirst into a spiritual one. In doing so, they found this powerful, unifying language for their collective suffering and for their shared dependence on faith. And this reveals the beautiful paradox at the very heart of their story. It's incredible. As the land grew harder, more unforgiving, the people did the exact opposite. They became softer, more generous, more open with one another. This softening wasn't some grand, sweeping miracle. It was a series of small, quiet acts of kindness. Those whispers of judgment were replaced by anonymous gifts left on doorsteps. This was the true harvest of that difficult year, not a harvest of crops, but a harvest of compassion.
So what was the final lesson here? After going through all that, what did they ultimately gain from everything they had lost? This one sentence from a young woman's journal just captures the whole thing perfectly. The hardship of the land was a gift because it was honest. What does that mean? It means it stripped away everything that wasn't absolutely essential, leaving them with only the core truths, their faith, their reliance on each other, and the real strength of their community.
And so, this story doesn't really end in Chihuahua. It leaves us with a question for our own lives. When our world hardens, when things feel difficult and unforgiving, where do we find our softness? What's the true source of our resilience? Is it in our hands, or is it in our hearts?